Okay. And part 3 of Over al Pesha. So let's go back to the pasuk in Micha. Mikel kamocha nosei avon va'over al Pesha. And we spoke about Mikel kamocha, the horribly offended the Melech Oluv, or the Melech Nelav, and we spoke about the idea that HaKadosh Baruch Hu not only tolerates chet, but he actually empowers it. And in other words, he gives us all koach, including the koach to be chota. So when we speak Lashon Hara, so we're speaking Lashon Hara with Hashem, with the koach that Hashem's giving us. So it's like the ultimate chutzpah, if you will. It's one thing to go against somebody, it's another thing to go against somebody with their resources. That's already a chutzpah, you know. You're hiring a lawyer against me with my money. It doesn't. How does that work? So it's the ultimate chutzpah, but HaKadosh Baruch Hu endures this chutzpah. That's the Mikel Kamocha, because there's the ultimate hope that by doing so, the person will turn around and do something good, which is something which I'm elaborating on this because it's something that we're going to come back to in Va'over al Pesha. It's that ultimate hope in the human being, which is putting it in a very general way, but we need to get very technical and specific about what that is exactly. But that's the Mikel Kamocha, and very similarly we learned Diktu Gadol is the second midah of Nosei Avon, that in the meantime, not only does he power the Avera in hope that ultimately the person will turn around, but not only that, he carries the Avera. In other words, there's a tremendous amount of patience, Kiviyachol, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu's part, in the sense that he will carry the Avon, meaning he'll carry the mashchis, he'll bear the iniquity, he'll carry the mashchis that was created by this Avera, and he zonu mefarnes as mashchis till the person does tshuva. And we applied this to the human relationship issue, which we'll go back to. The third midah is va'over al pesha. So what's the normal English translation? It's common, I should say. English translation: he bears iniquity, va'over al pesha, and passes over our sin, like Pesach, Passover. He over al pesha, he passes over our sin, which sounds like he ignores. Who is like Hashem, who ignores our sin? So the Ramak Zatzal tells us that that's not the pshat. It's not the pshat that he ignores his sin. We know you're not allowed to say that he ignores our sin. Walk around thinking, yeah, Hashem didn't notice that I did this Haber, that Haber. That's a ridiculous notion. So what then is va'over al pesha? So says the Ramak, this is a beautiful chidush. Zu midah gedola. It's a very, very big midah. Shaharei, sort of a double chidush here. Shaharei eil ha-mechila al yedei shliach. That mechila does not take place through a shaliach. Ela al yedei mamash. Mechila doesn't take place through a shaliach. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is malachim. Malachim do all kinds of things. Comes to killing somebody, there's a malach hamavos. Comes to healing somebody, there's a malach refuah. We know there's certain things that are not done ayidei malach. Gimel maftechos are not given to a malach. This is not one of them. But there's the maftech hatshuva, which is beyond everything, and then it's that HaKadosh Baruch Hu does not give this job of being moichel over to somebody else. Let's just say something very simple here. Why? Go tell him that I forgive him. You haven't straightened out the relationship. You haven't fixed anything. I mean, maybe a little bit, okay, nice message, but then it's like American greeting cards, like we sincerely... There is one, by the way. That's the reason I mentioned, because I happened to see the Rosh Hashanah card syndrome. So it's have a happy new year, have a sweet year, an apple dipped in honey, and a shofar, this and that. And I saw one for Yom Kippur saying, "I forgive you." All the card, I forgive you. So the Ayadei card, if you forgive a person, it's like a.
So it's postmarked in Shemayim?
What?
It's postmarked in Shemayim?
You see these people in movies who dying at their last dying breath, they say, tell my wife I'm sorry.
Right.
It's interesting that Moshe was, so to speak, consistent to Hashem. He said, don't send malachs, I want you to come, yourself.
So that wasn't forgiveness, that was a different thing. The Moshe Rabbeinu was saying that take us into Eretz Yisrael, Imein Ponecha Olchem Al Taleinu, he said. He was insistent that but it's very connected to what we're saying, but there it's not talking about forgiveness. It's that I want to restore, it's connected in the sense, I want to restore the very same relationship that we had. Don't tell me I forgive you, but we have a different relationship. That's I forgive you, but so that's not on. What's on is Imein Ponecha Olchem Al Taleinu. He said not that that's forgiveness, that's leadership or involvement, but the involvement, what Moshe Rabbeinu was saying, which is extremely astute, is that the relationship has to be restored. That's what Moshe Rabbeinu wanted. I don't want a Shlit'a mechila. I want a restoration of the relationship. Okay, but so the first thing is it has to be not al yedei shliach. It was al yedei shliach Kadosh Baruch Hu. K'dichsiv ki imcha haslicha ki imcha ki imcha haslicha. Umahi haslicha chiddush 2. What is the slicha? Shehu roichetz ha'avai. Now, meaning that this is not just a side drasha, this is an oiver al pesha. Not that he passes over it in the sense that I ignore your avera, but passes over it with a Brillo pad and cleanses. That's the over. I'll pass over it, I'll go over it, I'll go over it again, I'll go over it again, I'll go over it again, until it's clean. That's the over al pesha. A whole different touch. Oiver al pesha, umaya slicha shehu roichetz ha'avai. He's actually k'dichsiv imrachatz Hashem es tzoas benos tzihon. Hashem doesn't just forgive the averos which caused the Churban Beis Hamikdash, but there's a rechitza that's going on here. A rechitza. Uchsiv v'zarakti aleichem mayim tahorim utahartem. V'hainu oiver al pesha, sheshaleach meimei rechitza v'oiver v'roichetz hapesha. So So let me just explain a couple of things here, which are important to understand. Number one is the Rambam in Hilchos Tshuva is confusing because am I going once more?
Yes, sir.
I just want to see everybody. I got to see my friend.
Good.
The Rambam's confusing because the Rambam talks in Hilchos Tshuva about Tshuva. A person does an Avera, now he wants to get back in, he wants to erase the Avera. And then he keeps on giving examples, the Rambam, to a mikvah and to Tara. So for instance, he says that if a person does Tshuva, but he still thinks of doing the Avera, so he's a toivel b'sharetz biyadei. Makesha toivel. Tara is a whole different concept than Tshuva. When you go to the mikveh, you're not going to mikveh to achieve tshuva, you're going to mikveh to achieve tara. So the shayla of the Rambam is, why does the Rambam constantly bring, over and over again, he brings this metaphor of tara, as does the pasuk in Yecheskel, v'zarakti aleichem mayim tahorim, imrachatz Hashem es tzoas benos tzihon. So the answer is, the answer is that in a chet, as I explained yesterday, there's two chalakim. There's the chalak of three chalakim: Shlit'a, Mechila, and Kapara. So Shlit'a, Shlit'a, I pushed you by accident. Shlit'a, really no damage done. It was just a little bit of an offense. I bumped into you. Shlit'a. If you get into a car accident, you ruin somebody's car. There's a good Shlit'a. There either you pay, or you have to have a mechila sachoiv. So a mechila means that I'm taking the damage, and either you pay for the damage, or I'm being moichel. the damage. So mechila is dealing with not just the gavra, with the cheftza. Tell you a ma'asav gadol that just something I noticed that one of my Rabbi Moshe Cordovero Shlit'a, whenever he wants to say excuse me, he never says slicha like everybody else. He always says mechila. He comes late to a shir, which he often does because somebody stops him in the street or something. His first word is mechila. Doesn't mean slicha is I'm sorry. Excuse me. Okay, you're excused, but mechila is I wasted your time. I made you come. I'm not being mechabed you properly. You were offended. Mechila is a much deeper word than slicha. So maybe we should think about changing this from every time I want to say slicha, think of what we really should be saying is mechila. Slicha is almost okay. Sorry. Sorry. Forgive me is a different thing than sorry. Forgive me. That's forgive me. That's already because I'm sorry could be just like okay, you're very sensitive. I'm sorry I mean to offend you, but mechila implies a certain damage. So right. So we were talking about tahara when a damage was actually done, meaning there's actually something which requires mechila. So then there's a need not just for slicha, there's a din gets into the tahara area, because what you're doing is you're taking a chasard and a cheftza, which is a kesem, and you're cleaning it. It's a different idea. You with me on this? So I'm saying a lamda shavart here. that every time you do an aveira, there's two halakim to it. One chalak is why don't you listen to Hashem? Chutzpah. One mitzvah I gave you, don't eat the apple. One thing, why don't you listen to me? Chutzpah. Whether it makes sense or it doesn't make sense, listen to me. I support you. I give you life. Listen to me. That's one thing. The other thing is you did damage. You hurt yourself. You hurt me. You hurt the house. So that's a different story, and that needs something more. That's a din in the cheftza. That's what mechila is all about. And when you think about it, that's what tahara is. Tahara refers to the not just that I did something wrong, even if he didn't do something wrong. A tumah, even if he didn't do something wrong. A woman becomes a nita, but she's not a nita. She's doing anything wrong. She's doing everything right. But there's a certain din in the cheftza of this isha which needs to be tara, or a man who's a zav, or a mitzvah, or whatever it is. There's a certain tara. So tara requires main mikvah. It's almost like a physio-spiritual cleansing that needs to take place. I'll tell you something beautiful. The Shlit'a Kadosh speaks about. He has in one of his more esoteric svarim. He has something called Shar Hadras Haponim. The Shlit'a has in different places. It's actually one of my favorite authors. The Shlit'a Kadosh really teaches a person how to be a rebbe, how to be a holy person. But he has a Shar Hadras Haponim. How do these tzaddikim get the Hadras Panim that they have? Right? Chachmas Adam Toyer Panim. You see sometimes a shine on the face of a tzaddik. So the Shlit'a says it works like this. It means that sometimes when a person davens or does tshuva, so he's motzi dema, you can cry. So if you take the tears and you would then take them and rub them into your face, that will create a shine and a hadras panim, she'ein kamo. So says the Shlit'a. So it means that the dema, as he explains, is not just an expression of what's going on in my lave. The dema is an actual detergent which comes and cleanses the soul. It doesn't just come out; it can go back in. What you're dealing here is what a person is zochet to dima. What you have a dima that's coming not from peeling onions, but dima that's coming from a very deep place. So that dima sim dimascha, sim dimaisenu b'naoid liyos. That's how you say in Ne'ilah. Take that dima. This is a very, very precious detergent which can actually not just slicha, but actually works like a detergent to actually cleanse the soul. And when the soul is cleansed, it shines. So says the Shalom HaKadosh. It's an amazing thing. But besides for being an amazing concept unto itself, it's so powerful to understand that something has to be cleansed. You find, let's say, a person, like in halacha, you find, let's say, a person eats treif. So okay, sorry, I treif, slicha. But there's more to it than I offended the Creator. There's the treif food itself causes a violation within in the person, which is called timtum alev. So it has actually brought in halacha. The timtum alev is actually brought in halacha. There's a hakira in the Briskerov on his right notes on Chulun. Hakira the Briskerov, whether if somebody eats treif for piguach nefesh is a metamte b'salev. It's a real halachic concept. The halachic concept of hatfasa b'nedarb, the Russian nedarb navzai talks about that if I say harei zeh kazeh, this is usher like this is usher like koinim alai kehektish, let's say koinim alai kebasar chazir. I said this is usher. So does the timtum alev becomes an isser chefsa? So the timtum alev actually comes over. There's a halachic concept. It's not a kabbalistic concept. But what do you do? Good slicha. Okay, salachti kidvarecha. No, I want to get rid of the timtum alev. Also, that requires scrubbing. That requires dema. That requires who does the scrubbing? Who does the scrubbing is HaKadosh Baruch Hu ba'atzmai. We need to understand why that should be. Why does Hashem have to create the scrubbing? I'm not yet putting this as the Tomer Devorah is going to do. The most important part is to put this on a human level. I'm speaking theologically. Theologically speaking, there's two chidushim here. One is slicha is not enough. There's a timtum that needs to be taken care of, and the second thing is who's reichitz the timtum. Reichitz the timtum is HaKadosh Baruch Hu ba'atzmai. Again, theologically, why does HaKadosh Baruch Hu have to be the one to be reichitz the timtum? Why does he have to be reichitz the kesef? Why can't he do this al yedei malach? If he can kill for a malach with a malach, if he can. Umi balo decha ein lanu melech elo ota. So the elo ota in your machzer is in parentheses because it's a redundant statement. Umi balo decha ein lanu melech, right? Umi balo decha. Besides for you, we have no melech mochel v'soleach elo ota. You already said mi balo decha. What's the elo ota? So it's in parentheses. Says the Shla, go back to the Shla, says that's a good girsa. Vibaladecha means that you're the one who's soleach. But how do we know, says the Shalach Kadosh, that you're the one that's also roichetz the avain? Vibaladecha in lanu melech moichel v'soleach elo atatzveitinum. There's the din of the Gavra and the din of the Chavtza. Yes, soleach, solachti. Slicha, beseder, ein davar. Ein davar. But ain't davar. But I did something that violated my neshama. I drank the drano, right? So I have this. Not pashut, right? No. You know, the Ben Ish Chai writes. You're talking about 100 years ago, 100 more than 100 years ago. It's time the Chavetz Chaim. Ben Ish Chai was the same time as the Chavetz Chaim. He writes that by us in Baghdad, people are putting a lot of nana, peppermint leaves in their tea. And it's full of bugs. This is before they had the Gush Katif. There's a lot of bugs in the thing. He writes in his Dvar Halacha there. I think it's in Parshas Shmini. He says, I'm telling you. He's talking to his Kehillah in Baghdad. He says, I'm telling you, you're going to lose a whole generation of Baghdadi Jews because of these bugs. That's what he says. Everything I've ever heard about bugs is the only thing that shook me off. There's a lack of Yerusha Shamayim on my part. I shouldn't be worried about it because HaKadosh Baruch Hu said no. But we can't eat bugs. But the Kohen said no. Bugs, really bugs. That's what he said, And okay, Puk Chazeh, where did that generation go? I don't know if it's all about the bugs, but I'm just telling you that's what the Ben Ish Chai said. So it requires a scrubbing here. So the first question is, why does it have to be HaKadosh Baruch Hu? He has a balach for refuah, he has a balach for baves, he has a balach habris, 277 balachim altogether that there are in the Torah. Why does he have to be the one that's scrubbing, doing the scrub? Why does he have to become the Ozeret here?
I think you said it. It said because the affront is to him himself.
Seder, so salachti. So I just, I mean, it's true, but we're not yet being, and a Ben Haber I can understand a little bit, but I want to understand it better by understanding the way the Ramak is doing, understanding the Ben Makom. So let me say two Hasidic nekudas, which are helpful here, I believe. Number one, the Baal Shem Tov explained, Shivchei Habesh, and the Kedushas Levi brings this over and over and over again. Rav Dessler takes it. Rav Dessler was not a chassid, but Rav Dessler takes this as a yesod. He brings this as a yesod that he learned. He writes that Rav Dessler in the footnote in Chelek Daled writes that he was always mesupik about this, but then he spent 3 days with Rabbi Masmid in England, Lubavitcher, famous Hasidic tzaddik, Lubavitcher tzaddik, Rabbi Masmid, and he was convinced of two things. One is that he believes the Chabad derech of Tzimtzum, which is the same thing as what we call the pintele. We like to use that term. Pintele is a very sweet little thing, like pintele. You see a Jew, he's in Manhattan, he's doing every Avera, you want to put on tefillah, you're a pintele, it's okay, very sweet. Like, is it true, is it not true, what does it mean? What it means is, before we decide whether it's true or it's not true, what it means is that, like you can come, there could be a fire burning inside of a person, and you can come with buckets of water and put out that fire. And the fire, and the person is cold. There's no fire. There's no coals. There's no ash here at all. No heat. But there's this little pile of light, which a little pile of light that which cannot be extinguished. It can't. It's too covered. It's too kadosh. It's too mechusa. It's too bifnim. So that is called many things. In Breslov, they like to call it the nekuda tova. In other areas, they call it the pintele yid. It has to do with tzimtzum because the Baal Tanya takes this very, very far, and he says that's mamish the chelek elikai mimal mamish, which is within the person. It's mamish a piece of God. Okay, piece of God, but you can't erase God. You can't erase the pintele yid. Rav Dessler says that he was makabel this. He was very besupik about it. Litvak, but he was finally makabel after walking back and forth and pacing the streets of London or wherever they were. London or Tessler or Gateshead, pacing back and forth. And it was Rabbi Masmid who came to visit him, specially to explain to him this nekuda, and he was finally masking to this. What's the vart? This pintele, if you will, this nekuda is a place where we do not see this, generally speaking. Sometimes you see a person like you just do not see this place of good. If it's in there, it's very, very deep. It's very, very hidden. It's hard to believe sometimes. You have to have more amunah in people than you have to have in God sometimes. So how bad can a person get and still say that there's a... But you see that there is such a thing. One of the rayas is Menashe HaMelech. Menashe HaMelech was a Rosh Hashiver Shayid. He killed thousands of people. He killed thousands of Talmidei Chacham. The Sefer Yeshaya, it says, Pel Peh Harag Esa'am. Pel Peh means he killed his grandfather, Yeshayahu enough. He killed him. And a person killing his grandfather. Basov says a Tanakh that he was a Baal Yisurim. He was in crazy kind of pain. called the doctors. Doctors couldn't help. He turned to Avodah Zarah, mamash. He went this Avodah Zarah, that Avodah Zarah, this Avodah Zarah. Didn't work, obviously. Didn't work. So he said, okay, I'll do tshuva to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. If this was his lashon, if it works and I get healthy, I'll believe in Hashem. If not, so I continue with my derech Avodah Zarah. So it's like the worst kind of tshuva you could possibly do. Like it's a total conditional. I'll do tshuva tonight. Who are you doing favors for? So when he did tshuva, so the Chazal are elaborate on the fact that the Malachim didn't want to accept his tshuva. This is ridiculous. How much tshuva? The man's a bad man. He needs to get an oidish. He can't be an oil papa. He can't do tshuva. But he killed thousands of people. Who's doing tshuva here? Hitler. Who's doing tshuva? So there's a limit. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu agreed to the extent that, yes, in the system there's no way to do tshuva, but then there's something you can go out of the system. The words of the Gemara, chatar chatir tachas kisei hakavod. HaKadosh Baruch Hu carved a special hole under the kisei hakavod. Kisei hakavod doesn't mean his chair; it's the place of the neshamas, and he allowed this neshama back in. What's the only HaKadosh Baruch Hu could do this, right? The Malachim couldn't do it. So when it comes to cleansing, it's not Ayidei Malach. Why? Because what HaKadosh Baruch Hu saw in Menashe was that there was something very, very deep inside of there that was good. It's beyond comprehension. It's a needle in a haystack. It's beyond comprehension. And what was it good? So Chazal tightened it up, by the way. The Gemara says that the Menashe came to Rav in a dream. And he said that if you were in my place, you would have been a bigger Avodah Zarah. His Rav, not Lador. But
It's Talmud Chacham as well, Menashe.
he was Talmud Chacham also. The Gemara says there, huge Talmud Chacham. So the pshat was that Menashe, as wrong as he was, had a cheshbon. The cheshbon was that, the way I understand it is that he felt that Klal Yisrael is too edel, too gentle, too godly, and they're not going to survive this way. We need to give them guns. We need to give them Avodah Zarah where they sacrifice their children. We need to toughen them up. It wouldn't make us into Hamas, like where you teach kids for second grade how to pull the heads of cats off the bodies. There's a chinuch for the Jews. Who was it? One of the early Zionists said, we need a more muscular Judaism. Or muscular Judaism. Right? We have so good to Zachna. Like the Jewish image has changed. From being standing in front of a stender and bent over and weak, and you can just push him over by some Nazi. The Jewish image has turned into a Uzi. So yes, no. So that's the. But this was a still to kill people. That would stop, but HaKadosh Baruch Hu found the Nakuda. Only HaKadosh Baruch Hu could find the Nakuda. So it has to. Why can it? One svar is, why is Hashem the one who can heal this? The only one who can scrub over here is the one who can find. You have to have not only a belief, but be able to actually see this Nakuda Toiva in order to be able to get to it and clean it. You have to believe it. It is only HaKadosh Baruch Hu that could be roiches tzoyas b'nois tzion. What is the tzoyas b'nois tzion? It's such a graphic mashal. It's hard to even, if the pasuk would say, it would say the defecation of the daughters of Zion. And Hashem is washing it. Defecation is the elimination, that which is not good, that which is what is b'nos tzion? He's talking about the bayis rishon and the bayis sheni. What is that sinas chinam all about? There's something wrong with. There's some kind of a stira. What happens when you eat poison? You throw up. Your digestive system doesn't work. Tzoyas b'nois tzion. What we're seeing. So you look at a person disgusting. It's like disgusting. You're throwing up all over the place. Too much drugs, too much alcohol, too much bad food, too much junk, too much. What kind of lifestyle do you even have? The tzoyas b'nois tzion. You're sick. Who's going to be able, other than it's a face only a mother can love. Like who's going to take care of this? It's like the paraduba. Who's going to take care of this Ekel Hazav over here? So it's only HaKadosh Baruch who sees. Yeah, but this is my tatala. This is my. I see here a Nakuda Toiva under the Ekel. I see here under the sinas chinam is sinas chinam. I'll tell you the pshat sinas chinam. It's like really a machla that hasn't gone away. It's a disease. It's like throwing up all over everybody. thought is, so insecure and so complicated and complex and political that we become political that when somebody's not doing something our way, we just decide to hate them and talk lashon hara about it. Like, well, it's somebody starts espousing sinas chida b'lashon hara, we should move away. It's soyas b'noisiyah. Just move away. It's disgusting. Ma'us. It's mamash ma'us. It means there's something wrong with the person. Nevertheless, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is roiches soyas b'noisiyah. HaKadosh Baruch Hu can look in there and see, yeah, but why is this such a conflict? Why is there sinas chida? Think about it. There's sinas chida coming from really a good place. If I was completely bad, then I'd be able to hold my alcohol. They say the dangerous alcoholics are the ones that don't get drunk, because it means that the dangerous criminals are the ones that are hardened criminals, that they're smiling and they shoot you with a smile. Those are the dangerous ones, because as long as there's a steer I act weird, there's something good. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu finds that good part, and that's why he has to be the one. Lanias daiti. It's Basber why he has to be the one that's right. Again, we're not talking again about the Bein Adam L'Chaver. I'm just talking to understand the Bein Adam L'Chaver. We need to understand the Bein Adam L'Chaver. There's another piece to this also. I mentioned once in the Reb Tzadok Shir. There's a story. It's all connected, but there's a story of the Balatanya. The Balatanya. So the derech of the Hasidim, particularly in previous generations, is that if they did an avera, it wasn't a confession like you go to a priest for a confession, but you go to a rebbe to find out what the tikkun is. How do I do tshuva on this? The nature of tshuva has changed over the last 100 years. It's become much more sophisticated, I think, since Rav Soloveitchik wrote that book. So, it's psychological, it's spiritual, it's different. We've changed. Tshuva has changed. It used to be tshuva meant rolling in the snow. Tshuva meant fasting. Who fasts for tshuva? We fast Yom Kippur Kava. It's not even the minor fast days. I'm not criticizing. It's different times of the week. But the nature of tshuva used to be that you went to the Rebbe, and the Rebbe thought about the Avera and gave you a tikkun. I honestly say every once in a while somebody comes to me and says, I did this, I did that, what should I do? I don't know. I'm not trained. I'm not trained in what you do. I don't know. Stop doing it. Be nice. Don't. It's hard. I know the Rebbe's always seem to know what to say. They always know what to say. Give two prutas of tzedakah to that organization, and light an extra candle, and blah blah blah. Somehow they know what to say. But just the Baal Shem Tov taught his few talmidim, the Maggid, the few talmidim that he was very close with. He said that if somebody comes to you and needs a tikkun, it's impossible to give a tikkun or to advise a person of a tikkun unless you find the avera within yourself. So, because if you can't relate to the avera, then you simply have no kesher to the avera, and if you have no kesher to the avera, so then how are you going to be masakin for somebody else? Yeah? So you have to find the chet within yourself somehow. Or not the chet, mamish. Doesn't mean that the Rebbe has to I also ate treif, I could relate to that. And by the way, it's not even something you're supposed to say. But some shebet, some piece of it. So the story I once told about the Balatanya, somebody came to him and spoke to him about his life, and he said that he had committed, what's the fancy word, necrophilia. He raped a dead woman. It's an illness. It's in the dictionary. Must have happened more than once. It's in the dictionary, right? I don't know how, I know selfie got into the dictionary, but it has to be used over 50,000 times in order to the word to get into the dictionary. So necrophilia is in the dictionary. So crazy. So the man came to the Balatanya. He says, "This is what I did. I don't know if it's called rape, whatever. I don't know what it's called. Somebody's dead, but he had sex with a dead woman." The Balatanya heard him, and he's like, "Whoa, what's the whoa? There's a limit there's a limit to what I can relate to. If you tell me that, anything you'll tell me, okay, is this type and that type, type is achila, type is amishkel, type of lashon hara. I can relate to type. Maybe I'm kovish, but I can relate to the type. This type I don't. I just can't. There's nothing I could do for you. There's nothing I could do for you. Because if I can't relate to the thing, I can't do anything to you. I'm so moved for this. It's so rachak. As all of us would be. They're completely rachak from this. I don't understand it. So the man in the Hasidic world, he gave the rabbi a pidyon for his time. Something should be transferred to the Litvisher world too. The body is dead. and he took a ruble and he threw it on the table, and he was disappointed. And he was walking out of the Rebbe's office, and the Rebbe said, "Stop by the door and come back." What had happened was that he had put the ruble on the table, and on the ruble there was a imprint of one of the queens of Russia. I don't remember her name. Catherine. Yeah. Maybe. Beautiful woman. And he looked at it. The sun was shining it on it in a certain way, and he thought to himself, "Oh, it was a very beautiful woman." Now, this is no chet here. No chet was done. Looked at it quite nice. But he was able for a moment. She's dead. She's a domain. She's made out of metal. It's cold cash. For a second he was able to somehow relate to the chet of the extreme of necrophilia, and said, I can now help you. I can be Misaki. The story of the Balatanya, not well-known story unless you come here a lot. It's not a well-known story. It's a real story. It's a true story.
It's in a sefer.
I said it's not well-known. It's kach kibalti. I have a couple of the story. It's a real story. I heard it from the Lubavitcher Rebbe. I don't know if it's in a sefer or not. I heard it from the Lubavitcher. So he told the story, and I was listening. The point is this. The point is that. Ironically, the only a person does a chet. A person does a chet. Who can give a tikkun for the chet? So it has to be somebody who can relate to that chet. Ironically, the only capital one that can relate to the chet is the one who was bayra the neshama, the very complicated, complex neshama that we have, very complicated people. So you'll talk to 1,000 malachim and 1,000 people, and nobody's going to say like this guy Menashe. And you have to be able to understand that the neshama is a tzelem Elokim and a reflection of myself, onto the person, to be able to understand where that's coming from. So to be able to understand where that's coming from is huge. It's deep. It's rachavim minei yam. It's a very, very deep idea. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu says that the only to understand how two kohanim could be running to do my service, and then a murder is committed, the only one who can understand this is me. Because I created this neshama. So there comes a point in an avera that even the Balatanya can't get it. There comes a point of ra, where a person gets so far away that it needs HaKadosh Baruch Hu ba'atzmai to be roichetz es tzayas b'nois tziyai. And that's the side, by the way, of the paraduma ba'aim. This is the mashal that Chazal Rashi gives there, the Shem Chazal. Ba'aim u'malach lech es tzayas. What did the egel do? The egel did nothing. The egel did nothing. The para did nothing. The para had nothing to do with the egel. But the point is that it's a mashal. It's a mashal for Klal Yisrael. That it's the egel azav, a face only a mother can love and appreciate. But look how cute. Look how cute this egel is. It's not cute. It brought down the whole Klal Yisrael. But the para can come ahead and do it. And this is come ahead and cleanse that avera. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu is roichitz, and this process is called tahara. The process is not called, it can be called mechila and kapara, because we're dealing with the cheftza of the avera, not with we're dealing mamish with the cheftza. We're dealing with the very deep part. What in you could have brought you to commit this avera? What could possibly have brought a person to necrophilia? If we have to think of the sickest avera possible, isn't that pretty close? No, it's pretty close. So what could possibly bring a person to this? Nobody knows, but something did. Something did. There was something. It's just such a, like I got in parentheses. There's a lot of levels of this, but you meet somebody who's annoying, which, every day you meet people that are annoying. You get to my level of patience, everybody's annoying. People are annoying. People are annoying. This one talks too nasal. This one talks too loud. This one talks too soft. This one talks too much. This, it's full of shtick. Why are you looking here? Why are you looking up? Why are you looking down? Why do you wear your hat that way? Comes up some sort of a midas adin, that comes. So I don't, like kid stuff. The avoda that we have the opportunity to do every minute is to stop for a second when somebody's annoying you, and just think for a second about all the wonderful things about that person. It's just it's almost shameful how we let people get on our nerves. There's so much good. A lot of times these people that annoy us are big balei tzedakah and big balei chesed, and they're yirei shamayim and whatever. I mean, they're good people. That doesn't make them bad. It's annoying. I was on a plane a couple of weeks ago, so I just overheard a conversation, which, because I don't know why it struck me, but I had on one of the flights I had a business class upgrade, so the steward was walking around to the passengers in the side cabin and said that here the drinks are on the house, and you can have as many drinks as you want. It's not like you have to pay $2 or they give you one little thing. So this couple in front of me, an older couple, so the husband said to the steward, he says, my wife is going to take full advantage of this because she's going to be, he wants to get her money's worth, she's going to be drinking all night long. so okay. I don't know, it was a funny thing to say, but that's what he said. She's going to be drinking all night, he was trying to, I think, in advance apologize for the fact that his wife was an alcoholic. I think that's what was going on. He didn't want to be embarrassed by it, have another drink. So he just set it up l'chatchila. She knows she's going to be drinking all the. So the steward, who was, I don't know, he didn't learn it in the Chazon Ish or anything. He was just a guy. He says to the husband, he says, look, that doesn't make her bad. I think, whoa, this is serious shalom bayis counseling that's going on over here. Doesn't make her bad. Wow. Okay, so it's it's bad habit, it's a chasaron, it's an addiction, whatever you want to call it. It doesn't make it bad. Bad. There's probably a lot of good things about this woman. I didn't happen to notice anything else the rest of the trip, but I did notice that she drank one. What I'm saying is that the kid stuff here is somebody gets on your nerves, to look deeper. But then there's something more to it, and it's not just it gets on the nerves. There's something really evil here. So there's real evil. If they're I'm seeing something that's really evil, and it could be in a relationship. Also, there could be something which is done, which is just really evil, and it doesn't mean you shouldn't speak up about it. It doesn't mean you shouldn't try to correct it. But there's also beyond the relationship, there's something underlying. So now becomes the big job, and the big job is to find out why that doesn't make them bad. In other words, you got to look at the coin here and say, okay, there must be something there. Everybody got to where they are for a reason. If there's a guy going door to door collecting money, a vagrant, and you know that he shouldn't be doing that, and he should be working, and he should blah 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 blah. I'm not saying, by the way, you should give him more than 2 shekel. I don't think you should. But I think before you judge the person, there's a reason why he got here. There's something that happened in his life, that Baruch Hashem, most of us didn't have to go through some kind of a trauma, something that got him to stand there and not be worried about the busha and be vagrant the way he. I mean, there's something that got him there. So you know what it does. Again, this doesn't have to cost money, but just kedai, like for such an avoda, for 20 seconds to try to figure out how did this man get to this place. Like what may have happened to bring this place here. So this is, I'm talking on the ruchnius level. Tomorrow we'll talk on the Ben Haber level. This is what HaKadosh Baruch Hu does for us. He looks deep, and looking deep, so he sees that whatever we do is not necessarily what we are. And only one who can do that is HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So therefore HaKadosh Baruch Hu is oiver al pesha. He goes to the scrubbing. He becomes the ozeret, which is cleansing the aver, because he's the only one who sees it. And then there's ramifications for us being B'Tselem Elokim to having to do the same thing.
My grandfather used to say, if you want a job done right, do it yourself.
Yeah.
So when there's is like how could a person,
I mean, it's a stira.
Yeah,
if only Hashem can do it.
Only Hashem, and now you're being said, like, look at.
So the answer is we can only do it to the extent that we're godly. But it's not a malach. It's not a slave. It's only someone like him that can pull this off. Maybe not as much as HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
So when you don't do it, you are showing your ungodliness.
Your lack of godliness. It means that it's not just that that's the godly thing to do. It means that a person has a koach to find some kind of underlying good, even where almost it's impossible to see. And sometimes you shouldn't even verbalize it because people think you're nuts. Like, what are you being matzdik here? But there's so much to talk about, so much to say with this. But it's an interesting thing. Rabbi Tzaddik writes that if you're going around collecting money for tzedakah, so you should try to find, he says, balei taiva, and ask them for money. People that like to eat basar and drink yayin, because like the disciplined yakis, they'll never give you a penny. What's the pshat? The pshat is that the underlying. Here you're looking at the basar yayin and say, what's going on over here? But there's an underlying thing over here that's coming from some type of a toy, some type of an altruistic essence in this. There's something good about it.
The second richest Jew in England told me, if you're not generous with yourself, you'll never ever be generous with anybody else. It's about that's That's the $1 billion guy.
Yeah.
What was the richest Jew's opinion?
What? the richest Jew's opinion is even more money.
Being able to see when he saw Esav, Rabbi Meir.
What?
When you taught us in Absalution, when Yitzchak saw Esav, he saw Rabbi Meir. Is this an aspect? Right.
So Rabbi Meir and his
Is this an aspect of that he was able to see that?
Kuda and Esa, which
nobody can.
Which Rivka wasn't able to see.
Right.
The deal.
And it ain't pintele yid. And it ain't pintele yid. It's not going to be very in France.
There's good in every neshama.
Yeah, and that was even like future generations. That was even
There's a whole sugya of, which I want to speak about tomorrow a little bit. There's a whole sugya of whether Goyim can do tshuva.
Is this an issue of Rabbi Yaakov?
Matana given to Jews. It's a matana given to Jews.
Linveg was not Jews.
So then it's not going to show me.
He says it alone. He says in that shtickle now going on. He talks about. He mentions actually in the footnotes about tshuva for.
Does he?
Yeah.
Chris Wengel writes in the basic life series. He starts off on the paragraphs there. Yadua she'ein tshuva ba'ad. So as far as he doesn't bring a source. Ain't tshuva ba'ad. I looked at the Chol later. I asked for Scheinberger. I asked for Scheinberger. Yadua she'ein tshuva ba'ad. It's impossible. It's invented tshuva. So I asked this one. I met with all the Kiev, Savitsky, asked everybody. So I was at the Kaisel. I was a bacher. I was writing a sefer. I wrote a sefer. So I was standing at the Kaisel, and Rabbi Yosef was the chief rabbi. He knew everything, right? Knows everything. So Rabbi Yosef is coming to light Hanukkah candles at the Kaisel, and I see everybody's lined up. So shalom to the Rav. You know, the hundreds of people lined up from the back to the wall. This is in 74 maybe, or something like that. So I see people are asking him shilos here, and they're saying, you know, kissing his hand, asking him shilos. So this was after I asked 50 people. So I stopped him, or Rabbi Yosef, wearing sunglasses at night, Hanukkah candles. I said to him, Eifo Katuv, Ein Tshuva Ba'akum. Here I'm going to get a source. So he said, he stops for a second, and he said, Rabbi Yosef Engel. They tell us there. Throw me back to the...
Without thinking, without pausing for breath.
He saw it.